Hey everybody, welcome to kind of our third progression in dividing fractions using the dividing fractions algorithm. And the one element of difficulty that we're going to introduce today is the element of a mixed number and knowing how important it is to convert them before we compute any sort of answer. So just as a review, if I have 2 and 4/5, for example, and I want to create this, I'm going to create an equivalent fraction or a fraction greater than 1. I'm going to take 5 and I'm going to multiply it by 2. And that will give me 10. I'm going to put 10 up in my head here. And then I'm going to take 10 and I'm going to add it to 4. And I get 14. And my denominator will stay the same. So it's really important that anytime you see one of these in your problem sets this week, you need to make sure that you convert before you compute. Okay? So before you compute anything, please convert these mixed numbers. All right, that's really important. It's going to be hugely important in 7th and 8th and especially 9th grade, okay, as you get into more complex equations, okay, where you start seeing a lot more mixed numbers. So I'll go ahead and start the first example here. First example is I have 3 2/3 divided by 2. So converting is what I want to keep in my head. And I also want to keep that whole multiply by the reciprocal in my head as well. Okay, so I'm going to first convert 3 2/3, and I'm going to rewrite that over on the other side of the equal sign. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. So it's actually 11/3 divided by 2. And we know that 2 is just like saying 2 over 1. So I'll stack my equal sign and rewrite again. And I will keep 11/3 just the way that it is. But then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which the reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1 over 2, or 1/2. And then I'll go ahead and I will multiply just how I always have done. 11 times 1 is 11, and 3 times 2 is 6. So that's one answer that you might get, 11/6. The other answer, if you're going to take it a step further, would be making it or converting it back into a mixed number after you compute. And I know 6 goes into 11 one time. My denominator stays the same. And I have 1 5/6. And I know that checks out because I know 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. And that's what I got right up here. So that's taking a mixed number, okay, and dividing it by a whole number. On to the second example. Now we have changed the order of these, where now my dividend is 4 and my divisor is 1.5. But again, I still have to convert before I compute anything. So I'm going to rewrite 4. I'll call it 4 over 1. And then I'm going to divide 1.5. But I know that 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So it's 3/2. So not only have I converted it, my next step is also going to make me find the reciprocal of it. And that's really important to just work slow down when you get to these steps, because they're really easy to mix up. The math isn't hard. The steps are what can get a little bit tricky. So I know that I'll actually be doing 4 over 1 times 2 over 3. So just stop and recognize what I did. I converted 1.5 into an improper fraction, or a fraction greater than 1. That became 3/2. But then I had to multiply by the reciprocal of 3/2, which is 2/3. And then I'll go ahead and multiply. 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 times 3 is 3. So one answer is 8/3. Another answer would be in a mixed number. And let's say 3 goes into 8 2 times. My denominator stays the same. And I have 2 2/3. It's also a correct answer. So either one of these will get you credit. On to the third example here. You're going to also get problems where you're going to have a mixed number as your dividend and your divisor. And again, the process is going to be the same. You're going to convert before you compute a single thing. And so rewrite them, okay? So I know that 1 2/3 divided by 1 1/2. I'm going to rewrite them both now that I've converted them. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, So it's actually 5/3 divided by 1.5, which is 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3/2. Now, you got to make sure, do not take the reciprocal of that first fraction. What you're instead going to do is rewrite it 5/3 times the reciprocal, multiplied by the reciprocal. And we know the reciprocal of 3/2 is 2/3. I go ahead and multiply them. 5 times 2 is 10. And 3 times 3 is 9. So what I'm looking at here is 10/9 as a correct answer. And 1 and 1/9 also as a correct answer. So just as a quick wrap up, I know this video was short, but you want to make sure that you go back to the other part 1 and part 2 videos to refresh your memory and just continue to receive practice problems on this really, really important skill. But the first thing that we really revisited was converting before computing. Okay. So convert all of those mixed numbers before you compute a single thing. The second thing is always going to be multiply by that reciprocal. Remember, that reciprocal is going to be your divisor. It's the second number in the problem. You're not taking the reciprocal of both. Okay. So again, just make sure that you slow down, you go through your steps, you take your math on the paper first. Okay. So the best little progression here is to write the math down. All right. Write the math down. And then you watch the video. If you have to watch the video again, you watch it. Okay. And then at the end, then you can enter your answers. Okay, so do the math out, watch the videos again if you have to, and then enter your answers. All right? Any questions, find me in the office hours. Hope you all have a good rest of the day.